Hey, Richard Bryce here. Today, I'm going to continue with the theme that I started yesterday. I want to make you a better tennis player by making you faster to the ball. Yesterday, we talked about the split step. We went into it in detail. Today, we're going to be working on the first step and the unit turn, or the first move. This is absolutely essential. You need to practice this. You need to work on it. You need to automate it so that you can get to more balls. You can get there faster. You can get set up in better positions. So I hope you find this video helpful. If you do, it'd be awesome if you give me a thumbs up. If you haven't already done so, make sure you subscribe to my channel. Okay, so yesterday we talked about the nice wide low split step to give us a stable base so we can push off in different directions. Today we're going to be talking about the first move, and the first move actually consists of two things. It consists of a unit turn where we're rotating our upper body, and it consists of some kind of pivot step where we're twisting our foot and pointing it so we've got our hips, our foot and our upper body all pointing in the same direction. Now the reason that we're doing this is obviously we're trying to prepare, we're trying to get ready to hit the shot. All of your shots, we're going to produce power in the same way. So efficient biomechanics is always going to be hip, torso, shoulder, racket. So if I was hitting a neutral stance forehand, I'd be stepping out with my right leg. My racket will be in position, my hips will be pointing that way, my torso's pointing that way. I'm going to step forwards with my left leg, drive through this back hip. As I drive through the back hip, depending on your style of technique, there'll be a racket drop, but we're not going to worry about that. But I'm going to rotate my torso, so it's hip, torso, arm's going to come through, and then the racket's going to make contact there. So we have to do that first move in order to get set up in this position so that we can efficiently produce force. But it's going to be exactly the same if I was doing an open stance forehand. I would still be stepping out that way. I've still got this foot, my hips pointing in that direction, my torso rotated with my racket ready, because I'm still driving through my hip, then my torso, then my racket. Now what goes on with the feet is going to be a little bit different. We've got options, and I'll talk about those in another video later this week, but we're still driving from this same position. And it's going to be exactly the same on the backhand. You do your split step. I've obviously got to get my torso rotated because I'm going to be hitting from there. As a single hander, I'm going to be stepping out, stepping in a lot of the time, but I can still hit that single hand from an open stance. But again, from the split step, I've got the unit turn and the foot pivot. It's going to be exactly the same for a double hander. We've got the split step, there'll be the unit turn at the same time that there's some kind of pivot. So you can either step in for the neutral or you can step out for an open stance. So that's what the first move consists of. We've got this upper body unit turn, which is going to take the arm and get the racket mostly ready. And then we've got the pivoting of the leg and the first step that goes with it. So now we need to look at a couple of different variations for that. Okay, so now we need to look at the two different variations that we're going to be making with that first step. In both instances, as soon as we land, we're going to start to rotate with our upper body because we've got to get that unit turn. But depending how far the ball is away, we're either going to step out or we're going to step back. And this is where the visual system and that visual side of things is so important, because when the ball is closer to us, we're going to be stepping out so we can hit it. When the ball is further away, it's a slightly different footwork pattern so we can cover as much ground as possible. So you have got to predict where the ball is going as quickly as you can, so by the time you land from your split step, you know which footwork you're going to need to use so you can be as efficient as possible. That's why I created that free Tennis Vision starter program for you. I'll place a link up there and a link down in the description, because in addition to working on this footwork stuff, you want to train your visual system so that you can predict where the ball's going more efficiently to help with everything you're doing. But we've got those two options. I'm landing. When the ball is closer, I'm going to be stepping so my foot goes further away from my body. So my foot, so here, if I land with my foot there, I'm stepping out and rotating my body, and then I can step into my neutral stance and hit the shot. If the ball was hit really hard, I wouldn't have time to step in, but I would still step out into position, and then I can pivot as I make contact from an open stance. If the ball's a little bit further away, I'll still be stepping out, but this time I'll step out and then I'll do a shuffle step to get there. If I've got time and I can step forwards, I'll do that. If I don't, I'll step out with the unit turn, shuffle, and then pivot. But it's the same initial move. It's land in that wide split step, step out as I do the unit turn from there. When we've got more ground to cover, when the ball is further away from us, it's going to look different. Instead of stepping out, now I'm actually going to step in. The reason I'm doing this, I want to place the ball of my foot underneath my hip with my shin pointing that way so I can push as far as possible and cover as much ground as possible. If I was to try and step out and do that, I can't produce as much force, and this is where people start to tear and injure their hamstrings because you're clawing back. Instead, I want to be pushing back. So what it'll look like is this. But here's where it gets a little bit deceiving. When you do this at full speed, because I'm pushing off this leg as well, it looks like I'm stepping out, but I'm not. I'm actually bringing my leg back. So the way that you want to practice it is this: split step, step in as you do your unit turn. And just practice this over and over again. Just get used to it. Now, as I do this, I want you to notice that my head, I don't go back up like this. My head stays low and the leg comes underneath me. So you just practice this and it'll be a lot of work on your quads. And then when you put it into speed, I'll be pushing off this leg and pulling this leg under. So it'll look like that. And again, you'll be staying low when you do it. And you want to practice how quickly can you do it, how much ground can you cover when you do it. Because if you've got the ability to get to this outside tramline or inside tramline in one step, that's going to allow you to play against a much higher level of player. But that's what the first move looks like. It's the split step, and then the first move is this unit turn with that pivot step, either stepping out for the closer balls or stepping in and driving for the balls that are a bit further away. It's going to be exactly the same on the backhand. I know things are a little bit different if you've got a single hander, but just practicing this will still make a world of difference. So step out, step in. Step out, step in, and then you still want that option of driving across and hitting from an open stance. So practice it on the forehand side and the backhand side. Just do these first moves over and over again. Start working on your visual system, so grab hold of that free Tennis Vision starter program from below. Do them at the same time. Work on these things together, and it is going to make a huge difference in your ability to get to the ball faster, get set up in better positions. And as you go to higher and higher levels, this stuff gets more and more important because your opponent's hitting it harder. You've got less time to react. Okay, I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, it'd be awesome if you give me a thumbs up. If you haven't already done so, make sure you subscribe to my channel. Questions or comments, leave them down below and I'll get back to you as quick as I can.